When we're looking at our current events, there are sobering similarities. There are sobering similarities. They were looking for government for a bailout. Pharaoh bought their property and brought them. They became slaves. They became slaves of Pharaoh. Pharaoh was the landlord. Pharaoh dictated what a CEO can and can do. There was a debate about executive reward. As we know about the story about AIG. In a capitalist society, executive is rewarded with bonus, often in the millions, based on the performance. So if I hire someone here as the executive, and you make a lot of sales, and you make a lot of money, you bring a lot of money to the company, in the contract, I will pay you based on the bonus. And so it is very common for executives of a big company, they will be rewarded with millions. But when the government bail out the business that encounter difficulties, economic difficulties, and there was an outcry when they needed to reward their executives. So when they needed to reward the, for instance, the AIG executive, so there was an outcry. Why a company that was bailed out still need to pay millions, but they have to honor, because there was a contract. So if I bring so many millions to the company, so I entitled to receive a certain millions too. That time in Egypt, there was a basic law of supply and demand right now also. When supply decreases, the price will go up. There was inflation, hyperinflation. There's a possibility in a famine, there is a hyperinflation. Limited grain supply and currency become less and less valuable. Did I read that the world right now wants to detach their economy from the United States dollar? They don't want to be paid in US dollar when they sell oil. They want, because US dollar has less and less value. So this is what I see this as sobering similarities. When they tie their economy to US dollar, they are in fact bailing out US economy. We have our church here in Houston, or in Texas, and Oklahoma. We have been appointed to do evangelization in South America, Central America, and one of that is in Ecuador. And when we visit Ecuador, do you know that in Ecuador they do all the trades in US dollar. You go buy food, you buy in US, you use US dollar. But actually, when we have this problem in America, US dollar is going down. People in Ecuador, they complain. They said, when we tie our money to US dollar, actually we are bailing out US economy. So we heard about the jokes. Yeah. Tim Geithner, when he has a meeting with the Chinese finance officials, they said that the hospital spokesman said Geithner sustained third-degree carpet burns on his knees while attending this weekend's meeting with the Chinese finance officials. You know that in May 2009, he went to China to talk about financial, about getting more money and so on. So people said that Geithner, our Treasury Secretary, fell on his knees towards the Chinese financial officials. That's why they said Geithner sustained third-degree carpet burns on his knees. Now I want to switch gear. Do you know about the Torah reading, about the reading of the verses by the Jews? If you read in the encyclopedia, Torah reading reading of the Torah is a Jewish religious ritual that involves the public reading of a set of passages from a Torah scroll. The term often refers to the entire ceremony of removing the Torah from the Torah scrolls from the ark, chanting the appropriate excerpt with special cantillation, and returning the scroll to the ark. This is what they call Torah reading. And regular public reading of the Torah was actually introduced or resumed by Ezra the scribe after the return of the Jewish people from the Babylonian captivity. That is about 537 BC, as described in the book of Nehemiah. Even right now, they are still doing that. Even right now. And I think last week or so, they just celebrate what kind of feast, and then they finish their reading one cycle, and they have that feast. We read in the beginning of this sermon about Ecclesiastes 3:15, whatever is has already been, and what will be has been before, and God will call the past to account. So, these are also one of the area that the Torah reading they are doing that. So, talking about the Torah reading, if you remember in Luke 4:17-21, Jesus also did the Torah reading. That time, the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was handed to him. Unrolling it, he found the place where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to release the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." And I didn't continue that. Actually, on Isaiah, there is the vengeance of the Lord. That hasn't been read by Jesus Christ for a certain reason. I don't want to explain it now, but there's another discussion. Then he rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. The eyes of everyone in the synagogue were fastened to him, and he began by saying, Today, this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing. So at that time, Jesus was also doing the Torah reading. Do you know that for the Jew, all Jews around the world, they do the Torah reading, they do the scripture reading at the same time, with same verse, same chapter will be read around the world in sync. We just have a 40-day prayer and fasting, and IFGF, all IFGF GC churches around the world, we do fast at the same time. We start at the same time, we finish at the same time, at least the same day. Although we have a Jakarta time, we have Houston time, we have Amsterdam time, or different times.